Wearing masks in relationships. This one's a tough one. There are many reasons why we wear masks in life, namely because we've been hurt, because we're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to make sure that we remain safe. So we wear masks, psychological, emotional masks, masks of personality, masks of values, what we like and dislike. And we do this to protect our hearts. We armor our hearts. Men in general are very good at armoring their hearts and shutting down their emotional selves. They're very good, or very effective rather, at disconnecting, disassociating from pain and moving towards armoring and thickening themselves in lives. But the masks I want to speak to today are that of a masculine-feminine dynamic. Now, masculine-feminine expressive energies, polar energies or polarity energies, contrast dynamics exist within every single human being. They are not gender specific. Now, in saying that, there are many factors that influence our core essence of either masculinity or femininity. Gender and biology, hormones, brain structure, culture, environment, conditioning, all of these play a role. Now, in the complexity of our society, there is so much more to it than just gender norms or gender contrast or biology or culture. It's an accumulation, a combination of things. But I want to speak to today the core essence of our contrast. Now, we can say, this is a tough one. We can say we're born with a core essence, but are we born with it, or is it conditioned from a very early age? Let's put that conversation aside for a moment. I'm going to speak to you from two perspectives. If your core essence is feminine or if your core essence is masculine. Let me start with feminine. So let's assume you're born into this world with a core essence of femininity. You have this feminine expression. Now, you'll go through different stages. Stage one is this, that you were born with this essence of, this core essence of femininity. So in other words, how you attract is going to be based on your core essence. Remember, polarity has to be like a positive and a negative. You can look at the feminine and the masculine pole as a positive and a negative pole. So if your core essence is femininity, in terms of attraction dynamics, sexuality, polarity, you're going to want to and need to attract a masculine perspective. Now, let's assume you're growing up and your core essence is feminine. And at an early age, as a little child, you learn to put on a masculine mask. There could be a number of reasons for this. It could be because your mother taught you that maybe depending on men or the masculine is not healthy. Maybe you had a father figure that dominated you, that was dominating in his expression. And so you learn to put on a masculine mask. As you grow older and you move on to the next stage of your evolution, you're in your teenage years, you start to, and you remember your core essence is still feminine. You're in your teenage years, and by the way, yes, your core essence isn't gender specific. I want to specify that again. I want to clarify that. You can have a core feminine essence and be a little boy. Be a core carry a core feminine essence and be a little girl. Now, chances are that if you're a male, your core essence will be masculine. If you're a female, your core essence will be feminine. And there are a number of reasons for this. Chances are, but doesn't strictly apply that way. And it doesn't mean you don't carry any of the polarity, any of the other expressive energies. So, you're in your teenage years, you've got a core feminine essence or energy, and you've masked that with a masculine essence. But what's happening is, let's assume again, you want that polarity, okay? And so you're attracted to the masculine, and you're finding that you are not being given attention. There is a disconnect there. And let's assume, just for this conversation, that you're a little girl and your core essence is feminine, you're a little girl, now you're a teenage girl, and you're attracted to males. Now, men aren't giving you that attention because your core essence is expressing as masculine. So there's a negative versus negative. So what do? We then put a feminine mask on top of the masculine mask. and we begin to express our sexuality. And so sometimes what happens is that this sexuality is expressed in an extreme way, in a way that compensates, in a way that doesn't feel completely healthy and true. But now you're in this feminine essence where you're expressing, and you reach adulthood and you're out into the world more. And what happens is you put on a masculine mask. Now this happens for a number of reasons, because maybe you've been hurt, because maybe you're in a society that is highly competitive, that is concentrating on doing. And so you put this masculine mask on that matches the energy of the society around you and your community. And you feel disorientated because your core essence has mask on top of mask on top of mask on top of mask. Take a breath. Let's get to masculine, core masculine energy. So let's, again, for simplicity's sake, let's assume you're a little boy, and let's assume that you have a core masculine essence, core masculine energy. Now, as a young child, you may put on a feminine mask, and you may put on a feminine mask because you maybe have a powerful father, a father that dominates, or a mother that teaches you that being masculine is bad and rewards these more pleasing behaviors. What do then? You start to move through the world with this feminine mask. Now you reach your teenage years, for example, and you realize that you're not attracting females. Again, if you're attracted to females, assuming that females, the majority of them, carry a core feminine essence. So then you put on a masculine mask over your feminine mask. But again, you feel imbalanced because the core of you isn't being expressed. There's wounding there, there's unhealed wounding from a young age. And so you begin then to move through the world with this masculine mask on top of your feminine mask, and you hit adulthood, and you're still quite confused, not only in your gendered expression, but also in your cultural and emotional expression. And then you put on a feminine mask because you've been hurt, because you're imbalanced in your polarity of expression. And so if you have been hurt by the feminine, you put on a feminine mask to try and relate, to try and be on the same level. And what happens is you're trying to please, and you be over-pleased, and you become disempowered, and you're confused still. And so it can be very difficult in our world when we're not taught or guided to be more in our bodies and in the core essence of who we are. I'm mindful to use this term natural essence because I'm really unsure if it's something that we are born with or it's something that is developed in the minutiae of the earliest of our experiences. However, we will gravitate towards a core essence, whether it's masculine or feminine, in expression. And so this is really important because what happens is we start to think about, well, what is a masculine expression in the world? What is a feminine expression? And I describe this as two different frameworks. So a masculine expression is a doing energy, it's a go energy, and it's an exclusive energy. A feminine essence, core essence, is a be energy, a flow energy, and an inclusive energy. And so if we look at the physical characteristics of masculine energy, we're looking at strong physical presence, physical structure, centeredness, rigidity. There's a feeling of unwavering purpose, clarity, strength, physical strength, mental strength, even spiritual strength in posturing, whereas the feminine energy would be more open, be more free-flowing, would be a full energy. There's this life energy that is full into the world, is nurturing, is sometimes wild and sometimes free, deeply compassionate, deeply expressive. And so and this is one example, of course there are many. If we look at the driving force of the masculine wants to be driven by direction in life, very, very astute, very clear, has a life mission, wants to be empty, wants freedom. This is some of the characteristics of masculine expression. The feminine essence is primarily moved by emotions in intimate relationship, whether it's intimate relationship to self, whether it's intimate relationship to the earth, whether it's intimate relationship to others. The feminine force is about opening to love and giving love, but also receiving love fully. Again, these are some of the characteristics or the core attributes of masculine, feminine expressiveness, core essence. And so I think we develop these core essences at a very young age. How? I'm not completely sure. I don't think any of us are, but it's something in our environment, it's something with our constitution, how we're born and bred and been given into the world. But these masks that we wear are unhealthy because these masks aren't true to our core essence. We're not honoring what we truly are. Now again, just because your core essence is masculine, it doesn't mean you don't have any feminine expressive in you. The mastery of all of this comes in how we express ourselves, when we choose to express a particular contrasted energy, and when it's relative to a situation, how we tap into that, into the fullness of ourselves. But when our core essence is our core essence, we have to be driven by that. We have to naturally be that. We have to organically express that in the world, otherwise we're not being authentic and genuine to who we truly are. And that's not healthy. So let that sit with you. Where have you worn masks in your world? Where have you worn masks in your life? Drop a comment. Let me know about the masks you have worn. Let me know what some of the difficulties that you've experienced in relationship. And is it because you've had layered masks upon layered masks upon layered masks? And is it time to remove those masks? Power and blessings. Speak to you soon.